Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining us for this segment, we have Rina Plapler. She's a partner at MBLM to discuss MBLM's tech and telecom rankings from the 2021 Brand Intimacy COVID Follow-Up Study. Rina, it's great to see you again. Welcome back to Trade Talks.
Thanks. Great to be here.
What is the brand that came in at #1 and why?
So Apple, probably no huge surprise, came in as both the #1 tech and telecom brand and the #1 brand overall in our study. I think being #1 for Apple is pretty commonplace these days, but it really is a powerhouse. And I think during the pandemic, it's really solidified an essential role that it plays in the lives of so many of us.
What came in first with men and first with women?
So this is a little interesting. Apple was #1 with women. It was the previous year as well. YouTube is #1 for men. And that is largely driven by younger men in particular, under 35, that have a strong love for a lot of media and entertainment brands, but YouTube in particular.
What other companies ranked well?
So Amazon continues to do very well. I think we can all remember, or at least many of us relied on Amazon pretty heavily during the pandemic, and it ranked #2 overall. We also saw a lot of new entries overall into the study. Target, Costco, Harley all entered the top 10. Interestingly, with the tech and telecom rankings, we saw a very little movement. The industry continues to be a strong performer, but also a very stable one. And so those rankings largely remained unchanged.
Do consumers overall have a positive emotional connection with tech and telecom brands?
They do overall. It ranks 4th in our study out of 10 industries. It does better than the industry average. A lot of that is driven by some of the top tier brands like Apple and Google that really are, incredibly strong performers. But overall, I think the brand connects us in ways that are meaningful, especially over the past year or two. So I think there's a halo effect with a lot of the brands that help ensure we're both informed and connected to the news, the world, and our communities.
Do men or women respond better, and does age matter when it comes to the survey?
Yeah, men perform better. The category performs better with men than with women. And the category also does better with older individuals. Older meaning over 35 as opposed to those under 35. It also performs better with those making over $100,000 a year as a household income. So there's definitely certain gender, age, and income skews that we see related to tech and telecom.
Yeah, it's so interesting when you talk about YouTube. I feel like in the past couple of years, anytime there's a DIY project or something you need to have a quick fix with, you just go to YouTube, search the name, how do I fix a faucet? And it's right there. So I can see why it does tend to perform well for people 35 and older, particularly if they're in, home buying stages of their life and so forth. Were there any surprises in the report?
There's always surprises. That's part of the fun. I think, retailers did really well in the study. And I think that's sort of a surprise just because you've been hearing about the death of retail for, quite a while. We have 4 retail brands in our top 10. The other thing that surprised us is just that the past 2 years with the pandemic have caused people, it seems, to really connect more with brands. We see something like 37% increase in the number of consumers that have an emotional attachment to a brand. Certain measures we look at, like brands you can't live without and brands you're willing to pay more for, all increased dramatically during the pandemic. So it feels like this time helped people really connect with the things that matter and, not only connect, but not want to live without them and be willing to pay more for them.
Yeah, it's so interesting, Rina. I remember when I first started covering this, it had to be 2017 or 2018 before we even really knew what a pandemic was. And the difference is, I don't remember talking about emotional connections the way that we have over the past couple of years. So I find that to be really interesting with the survey as well, just how emotional it was and how we attached ourselves to products and really understood what it was to be a consumer as we are still navigating the pandemic.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. Can't live without increased 59%. So just the fact that whatever category or industry a brand is in, more people felt more attached to that level and, felt these brands to be more essential. So I think The pandemic, in a way, let us, connect more and feel more with certain brands, but it also caused brands like Apple, that played a clear role in helping us cope, as well as retail brands and consumer goods brands and comfort foods and all those things did very well, because that's how people really helped, manage.
Yeah. Rina, interesting as always. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.
Thank you.